Picture this. You're on a war-torn world, the earth beneath you trembling from impacts. Smoke and the cries of the dying hang in the air. And, in the middle of the bloodshed, is one man with a power sword commanding men into combat against an apparently impossible horde of foes. This is Colonel Commissar Ibram Gaunt, fighting his way with his Tanith first and only into the very heart of the enemy fortress on Vervenhive.
That's serious. Who is this Gaunt fellow, and why is he so important?
Ibram Gaunt is one of the most celebrated generals of the huge Imperium of Man. But to understand how he emerged as the savior of Vervenhive, we must return to the very start, when Gaunt was still a mere orphan struggling against the cruel nature of the galaxy in the 41st millennium. Ibram Gaunt was born on Manzipur, an imperial world where his father was a senior officer in the regiment of the Jantine patricians.
So he came from a military background? That would have had a strong impact on his later life.
Yes, but fate dealt him a severe blow early in life. His father was slain in combat with orcs, while Ibram was just a child. This incident would ultimately shape the life of young Gaunt.
Awful. What happened to him then?
Gaunt was dispatched to the Schola Progenium on Ignatius Cardinal, where orphans of imperial servants are trained and conditioned to serve the Imperium in their own turn.
Must have been a tough childhood. Did he have any friends there?
He did. At the Schola, Gaunt met Vainam Blenna, a lifelong friend and confidant. The strict training at the Schola transformed Gaunt into a loyal and disciplined servant of the Emperor.
So this is where he began his military career?
Not yet. Gaunt graduated to Cadet Commissar, serving under Commissar Delane Oktar in the Hurkan regiments. It was here that his life's work really began. Gaunt's turning point was in 747 M41 on the planet of Galidus Decimus. In battle against orcs, Commissar Oktar was poisoned to death. On his deathbed, Oktar made Gaunt a full commissar.
That is a great responsibility to accept so abruptly. How did Gaunt cope with it?
Gaunt's first action as a full commissar was to condemn General Dercius for cowardice, and with a quick slash of his chainsword, he killed him. This bold action cemented his reputation as a stern but just officer, one who would not hesitate in his duty to enforce imperial law.
Killing a general? That's really intense. Did he get into trouble for that?
It almost cost Gaunt his life. Dercius was able to injure him prior to his execution, but this action drew the attention of War Master Slado, the overall commander of the Imperial forces in the Sabbath Worlds Crusade. Slado was struck by Gaunt's commitment and tactical abilities. He invited Gaunt to a private dinner party prior to a key battle for Balhaut.
That must have been a great honor. What did they do during the banquet?
Slado had each of his guests swear a blood oath to defend Saint Sabbat no matter what. This was a turning point in Gaunt's career, putting him in line with the religious and military goals of the Crusade.
A blood oath? That's serious. What happened then?
During 765 M41, following the Battle of Balhaut, Gaunt was given an unusual opportunity. War Master Slado, mortally wounded, promoted Gaunt to the very rare position of Colonel Commissar and tasked him with overseeing the formation of 3 new Imperial Guard regiments on the world of Tanith.
That is a promotion. Did it all work out okay?
Not at all. As Gaunt touched down on Tanith to begin the ritual of foundation, a Chaos Splinter fleet invaded the planet in a vicious assault. Presented with an impossible decision, Gaunt decided to evacuate as many of the recently recruited members of the regiment as possible, leaving the doomed planet to its destiny.
Oh no. What happened to Tanith?
Tanith was devastated. The survivors were dubbed the Tanith First and Only, the only regiment to have survived their world's devastation. They also came to be called Gaunt's Ghosts due to their superior stealth abilities. Throughout the following years, Gaunt led the Tanith First and Only through a succession of campaigns on worlds throughout the Sabbat worlds. They fought on worlds like Blackshard, Voltamand, and Montax, and became known as an elite light infantry and scout regiment.
Gaunt must have really made them a force to be reckoned with. What was so unique about his style of leadership?
Gaunt's order combined the ruthlessness of a commissar with the strategic flexibility of a frontline commander. He led from the front and was genuinely concerned for the well-being of his men, who respected and admired him. One of the defining moments in Gaunt's life occurred during a covert mission to the Chaos Hell planet of Geryon. A swift insertion had deteriorated into a 2-year guerrilla war.
2 years within the confines of the enemy's territory? That must have been so unbelievably taxing.
It was a trial by fire. Cut off from Imperial aid and surrounded by enemies, Gaunt's leadership and conviction were stretched to the breaking point. It was an ordeal that changed him forever, one that tested his allegiance to the Imperium and his own moral strength more than he had ever believed possible. While Gaunt's tale is one not of fall, but rather of accomplishment, his greatest struggle was after the Geryon resistance. Gaunt and his men, having successfully escaped from Geryon, were met by outright distrust and hostility on their own side.
What? Why would they be treated that way after all they'd already been through?
The Imperium is fearful of chaos corruption. Gaunt and his troops had been on a planet infested with chaos for years, so of course they came under suspicion. They were saved from execution by Junior Commissar Nahum Ludd and were forced to stand trial at the hands of the Commissariat. The siege of Vervenhive against the background of Vergast was one of the highlights of Gaunt's illustrious career. When the Hive city itself was besieged by the armies of chaos, Gaunt and his ghosts were instrumental in its survival.
Is this the battle you mentioned at the beginning? Why was it so important?
It is. Overshadowed and temporarily put aside by opposing officers, Gaunt's tactical brilliance and raw courage turned the battle's fortunes. In a gesture of sheer bravado, he took a strike force deep into the heart of the enemy mobile fortress, there to defeat the Chaos Warlord Heritor Asphodel in single combat.
Incredible. So that victory cemented his reputation?
Yes, not just did this success rescue Vervenhive, but it firmly established Gaunt as a hero of the Imperium. Notwithstanding being assailed by so many challenges, Gaunt emerged as one of the most respected and successful Sabbat Worlds crusade leaders. His unwavering devotion to his men and the Imperium cause, combined with his strategic brilliance and individual bravery, made him a living legend.
It's amazing he made it through such adversity. What happened to him after all this?
Gaunt went on to command his ghosts throughout many subsequent battles. He ultimately was appointed as Lord Militant Commander, later becoming Lord Executor, the second in command under War Master Makaroth.
Whew, what an incredible story. From being an orphan to becoming one of the Imperium's greatest commanders.
In fact, Gaunt's tale is one of resilience in the face of impossible odds, a demonstration of holding on to humanity in an unhuman universe, and it is an inspiration to others to do great things through example. As the Sabbat Worlds crusade progresses, Gaunt and his ghosts stand ready to face whatever lies ahead, a shining beacon of hope in the dark grimness of the far future.